Hey guys, so today bringing you another video, and welcome back to Viewer Spectates, the series that you guys are enjoying. And if you are, please do throw a like on the video, it does help out. Comment down below what you think, and subscribe if you've not. Why not? So today we are watching our Blindy Bloom. He is a long-term member of my community, and this isn't technically on purpose. But this series was supposed to be, meanwhile, engage, invade level 1, gets the nice E on the Sleeping Echo, and first blood over to our Blindy Boom. Very, very nice. But yeah, this series was supposed to be bringing you the average content, because the reason why I did that is because the main account's gone very well this season. We're in Diamond 1 in US, and that isn't very normal rating. That's not very, you know, for an average viewer watching, you can't, a lot of the time, maybe see your own games in the content I'm doing. So the idea was to do viewer spectates, so you could be like, oh, these games look more like mine. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because I think what's happened is basically the higher rating audience, part of my audience, are like, this would be cool to get us to look at a video. So they've all redeemed them, or, you know, did the gifted subs on Twitch to get added to the list. So our Blindy Boom is in Master. So I believe this is basically our third Master, roughly, player in this series, and we've only done about 5 episodes so far. Trust me, the other people that are in the list are of more average ratings, but it's just the way that it's gone. Anyway, very nice, obviously, first kill from our Blindy Boom. Worth mentioning, I believe he's actually a support main. I could be wrong. I might double check if I can. Maybe not. Maybe a top lane main. Maybe everything. Maybe plays a bit of bunch. Recently has played Senna, Nautilus, Yuumi, but then played Draven, then played Talia, then Tam, top, I think, then Darius top, then Malphite, then Swain this game, then Olaf top, then Jungle, Kayn, Viego. So it seems to play a lot of things, but I think is a support, maybe top mainish. Biz playing Swain. So I've obviously played Swain in support. I've played Swain in mid. I've yet to play Swain in top. Obviously, it's worth knowing, this is before the damage nerfs or resistance buffs, and people have asked me a lot, like, what type of champions do I see becoming strong? There's one in the opposition here, Ornn. I think Ornn literally could become an absolute monster if tank meta returns a little bit. But to be honest, I think a champion like Swain is a ticking dot-centric champion, not a burst champion anymore, that does percentage with Liandry's, demonic, but also has that innate survivability. I think Swain really could be a contender. Maybe again, maybe not for mid lane. Could be mid lane, but maybe top lane is worth looking at a bit more. You know, people play Vladimir all the time in top lane, and honestly, the kind of mini rework Swain is very similar to Vlad in many, many ways. I'd say current Vlad has more burst than new Swain, but that's not too bad. So walking over to go help. So as I've always mentioned in recent episodes, Echo late to the blue buff, quite disastrous actually for Echo, but that's what you get for ganking bot lane early. You lose out on a buff. As I've always mentioned though, with this series, is I'd say our most educational one that we've done so far was the Nautilus episode. Education in these series, it'll be a mixture of education, especially if I can see education points, I will obviously say them. Meanwhile, a very nice roam here misses the, unfortunately. Has to be careful below, but is then also being zoned out. And a little bit out of position, blew the flash. So, people, you know, he knows what I'm going to say. He knows it himself. Positioned a little bit wrong there. Yes, it was a 4-man. That's the enemy Zillion, by the way, in mid lane before even the Talon got there. So a little bit of a weird situation, obviously. But mispositioning is whatever. Ooh! Oh, that Talon's dead, though. That's not too bad. And Zillion's still here. Absolutely mad. Again, that to me is when roaming is just ridiculously too much. But that's the way of some supports. Flashing. If you know you're dead and you can see 4 enemies, you know, you're pretty much dead. Don't waste your flash. The thing is, there's one point saying it out loud, and there's another actually doing it, because that flash, I guarantee, was not a thought that our Blindy Boom had. That was a reactionary flash. Sometimes reactions take over from thought, and that flash is a prime example of that mentality sometimes. Is trying to stop the Ornn base. I like this. Don't let your opponent base for free. If they want to, well, unless it's a good thing for you. If you've been, you know, getting stopped in farm for like 5 minutes because it's been frozen out and your opponent is finally going back, maybe letting them go back is a good thing because you can then farm a little bit and get control of the wave. But like this, where Ornn hasn't gone back yet, stopping his base is actually quite effective, or stopping him craft an item is very effective because you are then limiting his strength basically. So again, he might be basing back here looking for it. He's there. W stops the base. See, I think he was craft. No, that was a base. It's a good thing to do. It just puts off the enemy a little bit. It delays, you know, if he teleports back to top lane, well, that delays when his teleport's coming back up. All these things can matter. And when you have lane prio, because you've obviously been based before the enemy by dying, have that lane control. Do not let them base. As I was mentioning though before, some of these episodes are going to be more educational than others. This one, obviously, we're in a master level game on EU West. There isn't going to be too much, I'd imagine, in the gameplay of our Blindy Boom as a master player that I'm going to be able to like completely pick apart or say that needs to be improved, that needs to be improved, because it's a master player, technically higher rating than me right now. Me going for an engage, I was like, I like the engage. There's not going to be a lot of damage on the go right now, but why do I like the engage? Again, the level diff. You know, Swain was level 6, Ornn was level 5. Try to get a bit of lane prio. You also notice, if you haven't, Meanwhile has to be careful now though. I am so shocked that Ornn didn't go for that unless he knew Graves was there. You may notice no sustain by Ornn. Ornn cannot craft sustain items. So I would actually say, because Ornn did go back, to me, massive mistake that Ornn didn't buy sustain. He should have bought sustain, bought maybe both the ruby crystals for the sapphire, for the sunfire, or Bammies technically, and then when he got to lane, then create the item out of what he already has. To me, that would have been made way more sense. But I like the engage because you have the level advantage, try to get a bit of lane pressure, and maybe you noticed that there was no sustain in the pocket of Ornn, so you're punishing the fact that he also doesn't have sustain. Yes, he's got the health regen from Doran's, but that's not exactly a lot. Like, again, he's been alone quite a lot. You can see in the top left, Ornn's health bar is not full. So I like that. That's good. So bot lane, how, you know, even with Zilean mega roaming, 20 farm lead in bot lane. Why is that? Well, it seems that the enemy, well, I was about to say Ezreal has now been punished from Zilean not being in lane, but generally what seems to happen is when Zilean is in lane, they also time an echo gank. So they time an echo gank, kill the enemy bot lane, Zilean goes for a roam. But again, if you're roaming too much, your AD carry eventually will get screwed, and that's just what's happened there. A nice kill for Samira, and that's going to allow her to catch back up and have kill gold. So that's very, very nice. So farm-wise by Swain, not bad. 52 farm at 8 minutes. Again, I like showing this, by the way, because, you know, it's not perfect farm. You know, you could watch some games in Challenger even, and they've got, dude, they're like at 100 farm at 8 minutes, or, you know, they're at 50 farm at 8 minutes. That's the whole point, is games are different, games vary. It depends what's happening in the game, is depending how much farm you can get. You obviously have different players that have different ideologies. I've spoken about him a fair amount recently because his content has actually interested me a bit. The Bowls, whatever the hell. Like, again, I still can't pronounce that perfectly. But he values farm over everything else in the early game. So pretty much every single early game, his farm is insane because that's what he values. He'll take a death all the time for 1 minion wave. All the time. Because he is just like, no, I want to hit that amount of farm at 15 minutes. And he'll do everything to achieve it. He'll take the jungler's Krugs. He'll die for minion waves. He'll proxy. That is his value. Most players aren't like that. Most players are, I'm going to try and get the max amount of farm that I can physically hit without compromising myself too badly. So Swain going for another engage. Ornn re-engaging. And again, look at that damage, by the way, that Ornn can deal. Not a damage champion. Built no form of damage. And can still... 2/3 a Swain in one combo. Like that, I will say, in the upcoming patch 12.10 is my only concern. And obviously, if resistances are going up, that means also tanks are doing less damage in theory. But tank meta is fine. I've always said I actually think the game itself is the most skillful when it's tank meta. They do get the kill there. Nice dive by Graves, but showing top lane, again, 100% gives the enemy team Dragon. Tank meta is actually where I believe the game is at its most skillful when tank meta exists, because damage, you know, every bit of damage you do matters. The only caveat to that is I don't like when tanks do damage. Tanks shouldn't do damage. Ornn is one of these weird champions that you can basically get one shot by an Ornn even before the craziness of the last couple of years, and you're like, what? He's a full tank. Also notice that Ornn now has finally bought a refillable. Again, he cannot craft that with his passive. I believe he should have bought that earlier and then crafted the items that are not consumables. But he ends up dead. I think he's learnt that he might need a bit of sustain in this lane because he's getting whittled down a little bit, and then in an all-in, oh, I can't regen on an all-in, and that's happened now a couple of times to him. So the game itself, worth mentioning, it's also a bit weird for me to see a Talon mid. I don't remember the last time I saw an actual Talon mid. He does seem to be... Talon is what I would say has become, in my mind, and I think a lot of people's mind, not really a mid laner. I think Zed or Kiana are just better versions of Talon in lane, but I would probably give the advantage to Talon in the jungle. Again, I don't know if this Talon... Like, what I also would say, as just a random prediction here, I would probably predict that Talon is a main or a one-trick. Should I see if I'm correct? How good am I? Can I check this? How easy? I can go here. So I'm doing something in the background that should be able to make me check. All right, let's have a look. Flash play, Echo in the bush. I've returned back to the game. I won't be distracted when I hear an engage. So Echo was being a bush Wookiee. Still is being a bit of a bush Wookiee. I'm going to be completely honest. You're not going to kill this Swain. One of the biggest strengths, I think, of new Swain is actually very similar to Vlad. He's actually also a nightmare to gank, in theory. Like, in the early game, he's vulnerable. If you get him at level 3, 4, vulnerable. But now he's level 9. He's going to be really hard to kill because... if he can just get his ultimate off when an Echo jumps on him, when an Ornn jumps on him, he probably won't die. Because they don't yet have the absolute burst to just one-shot him. They've got the damage to kill him, but the new Swain regens so much, I think it's near impossible for them to kill him unless it is truly a one-shot, and that might need the talent. The one thing I will say about Arblindy Boom, and, you know, educational point, what does maybe partially surprise me, maybe... is the fact that he's running Phase Rush. And again, here's the ult. Misses his E, unfortunately. Gonna be doing the chase. Gets the burst off. Remember, you're allowed to throw your burst once before it, you know, during your ulti. Misses a couple spells. So again, there's always going to be like the little things of like, oh, you know, you're missing little spells here or there. That's just part of the game. And actually, yeah, bad death. Overextends into the tower. It would have been better for Swain to follow the Ornn through, because then if you stick with him, at least you're probably going to regen a little bit. But the fact that he let the Ornn go, stayed in tower a little bit, obviously is ultimately what got him killed there. But, you know, lapse of judgment, it happens, you know, to everybody. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, it does surprise me a little bit about Phase Rush. On one element, I'm not surprised, because you're in melee versus range matchup, and the only way that they can really do anything to you is being on top of you, and Phase Rush can help that. Not only a defensive thing of getting away from melee champions, also an offensive thing that they can't get away from you. So I do kind of understand it, but Talon might be having a bit of disconnect issues. I've only run, I think, the new Swain with Conqueror, and in my mind, Conqueror in top lane Swain, I believe would probably be a lot stronger. Because top lane Swain, to me, is definitely more about surviving drain tank, basically. And that screams Conqueror, right? That just screams it. You're not going to die if you proc Conqueror while you're in ulti, you're healing up. You're impossible to kill. So that's what mentally, that's what I would say. Especially the fact that you're against an Ornn. You're not against a one-shot champion. You're not against something that can really ultimately kill you straight away, like a Camille or something. You're against an Ornn. He might be able to kill you, but it's going to take him a long time. And in that time, you'll have your ultimate up, and you're definitely going to have Conqueror on the go. So that's what I would say. Roam happening. Misses the E, unfortunately. Into the Echo stun, who's committing to the fight. Ultimate, though, before. And that's the point. If you get your ultimate off before, it gives you chances. Lovely E gets the kill. Big shutdown. So that's the strength of the new Swain. I've said it, I think, when I played Swain myself, is if you go for an engage, and you know you're about to get stunned, you know you're about to get caught out, just press the R button before it. Just before it. Because the enemy team is committing on you when you're the massive drain tank. If he didn't ultimate then, at the right time, very likely he would have died. So that's the good thing. I like to see that. By the way, runes this game, as we mentioned, Phase Rush, but Phase Rush, Mana Flow, Transcendence, Gathering, so it's very much a scaling build here, and then Conditioning, so getting tanky after 12 minutes, so that's not bad, and Overgrowth, which that's not too surprising, Attack Speed, Ability Power, and Armor. So it does seem, unfortunately, the Talon is having some issues. I do think he is playing the game, because like his farm level and everything is maintaining, but he obviously is clearly having some form of issue. Let's just do our double check, by the way. If I can do, what can I do? That button? No. Again, all the keybinds sometimes are a bit all over the place. If I do scoreboard down, scoreboard up. Yeah, I think we're correct in the replay. Sometimes the replays at the moment aren't updating very well, but it does seem this one is, so that's good. Team-wise, big shutdown for the enemy team now on the Graves. Team-wise, that bot lane is definitely caught up. The Samira lane has caught up to the Ezreal lane. Again, you could argue because the Ezreal was left alone a little bit too much. It worked a little bit, but you can only push your luck so much. You know, eventually the Samira will go on top of the Ezreal and you will be in trouble. Victor's having a very rough time, which I don't know if he just got ganked a lot. I haven't really been paying attention to what's going on in mid lane. I don't know if he kept dying in the 1v1. I've no idea. I think Swain, by the way, landed that nice W. Very nice by our Bindi Boom. Again, farm-wise, as you can see, is well. Although I would expect that most range versus melee matchups of this nature should have a farm advantage for the range champion Huzzy. There are exceptions to this rule. It's something like, you know, you can get the occasional Akshan or Vayne top lane or Quinn. That is feast or famine. You know, they'll either be double their farm opponent, they'll have multiple kills, or they'll be the one that's half the farm and down kills. So again, those champions aren't exactly top laners, so that's why that happens. Did start the Rift Herald, not doing it, which I think is correct. I think it would take far too long for Swain to actually complete that. So I think that is the correct call of not looking to actually do it. Victor, by the way, did die again. So the lucky thing I would say for this Victor is he's behind, clearly, but the Talon is also not farming very well. Teleport maybe is happening? Yes, teleport to mid lane. A bit of an odd TP. Maybe obviously saw the Ornn roam to mid lane coming, so wanted to cut that off, and that does seem to be the case. Ornn engaging, what's that going to do? Nothing. And that will be the end of that. There was Echo somewhere nearby too. Unfortunately misses the E. Not bad damage though. Oh, Echo. Brave Echo, but he does have Zilean next to him, so that will give him confidence. If I get caught out, I can always get revived. But anyway, Merc Treads, by the way, purchased from Swain. I do not mind this purchase at all. Some people, I don't know, probably most people aren't questioning it. But you mean like, there's a fed Talon and a strong Ezreal. You know, is that the right choice? Or don't you want Sorcerer Boots? Again, this is where I would say top lane Swain, or the way that Swain works now, is a slightly different mentality than other champions that we've had in the last couple of years. He is a drain tank. AP drain tank. That is how you play this champion. So he's popping his ulti. He's even Zonya'ing, avoiding actually some damage there. Talon doesn't fully commit to it. But he's a drain tank. So the biggest thing for this champion is to keep on top of the enemy champions with his ultimate. And Merc Treads, when the enemy team has got CC with Ornn, CC with Echo, and Zilean bombs, he's going to have a hard time. He's going to get stunned in a big team fight. Like, Zilean can probably quite easily land a double bomb in a team fight on a massive angry chicken. So having the Merc Treads is going to allow Swain to be CC'd less, thus being able to stay on top of people to drain tank. So that, I think, is completely the right call this game. Completely. I don't think Sorcerer Boots would be worth this game at all. And that is the trade-off that sometimes you have to make is, you know, Sorcerer Boots technically give me more damage, but Merc Treads let me to move more, not get one-shot by an Echo, get CC'd less so I can drain tank more, thus potentially, ultimately dealing more damage. So Echo doing his usual Echo business. Swain does have flash, may have done it a bit too late though. Ooh, gets his ultimate off and will ultimately survive. Maybe a bit of a quicker flash there would have been okay. But Echo does survive with doing Echo things. Again, the Echo has got fairly a lot of strength on him, but, you know, look at the jungle farm difference. This Graves is power farmed like a monster, which is what Graves does. That's what Graves is famous for. If you had a little look into the gold, on totals, 7.5k gold versus 6.3, so it's going quite well in top lane. Jungle is still going well for Graves because of that farm. Mid lane going very badly for Victor. You know, he's even like 900 gold behind the Ornn. And then bot lane, 8.5, 8.5, even AD carries, and then support 4.8, 9, 4.9. Pretty similar in support. All right, so just survives as the Janna. Engage happening. Rampage. Swain not yet in the fight. Victor mispositioned slightly, but it's not disastrous. W misses, unfortunately. Graves, does he have ult? Does flash? W gets the kill, I think, with Dark Harvest, potentially. And that is a one-team fight without Swain ult. Swain did not arrive at the time to get the ultimate off, and when, you know, there was time to do it, there was no point. He didn't need to use it, so ultimately did not. Talon, again, not exactly what we'd call a team fighting champion. Am I completely surprised that Talon wasn't really involved there? Not really. Talons obviously are wanting to assassinate people, and it's very hard to assassinate people in the true sense of assassination in team fights. There are some assassins that can team fight, like Kiana's got insane team fight. Echo is team fight, it's not terrible. Talon's not so much, you know, it's not as good as other assassins. He wants to try and individually assassinate people. Hell, I'd even say Zed's team fight is probably better than Talon's. And Zed is not known as a team fighter, really. But anyway, build-wise, I presume, again, we had the Leondry first, we had the Merc Treads. Zhonya, I would presume, is next. There it is. Zonya's purchased. You know, when we saw the stopwatch before, it was just the item, a stopwatch. Why Zonya's? So, as we've said numerous times this game, Drain Tank. Swain, like Fiddlesticks, I think. Is it Fiddlesticks? I think it's Fiddlesticks. Maybe?
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Swain will continue to gain health, and some people have mixed opinions about this, but if he's in Ultimate, and then he's Zonya's, in Stasis, he will continue to regen the health that he's dealing, because his demon form is still active. It's actually dealing damage still around him, like a Fiddlesticks ulti. Enemy team going for another engage. He's gonna ult. So here we go. He needs to stay on top of them. This is the thing. The weird thing with the mentality of Swain, you have to stay on top of your opponent. He went for the burst. Keep going. Go on top. Go on top. Go on top. He's lost. And that's the thing. He's lost his ultimate now, and now he's vulnerable to die. He needed to, as much as possible, stay on top of them. Even, like, flashing. He didn't have flash up. But even, like, flashing, or, you know, this is where you're running phase rush. Running after the Ornn. The Ornn was the easy one there to stay on top of. Ornn is slow. Echo's a bit quick. So my thing that I would say to our Blindy Boom there is you really need to use the drain aspect of, you cannot kill me if I always stay in my ulti. You needed to stay on top of them. You know, that's the thing. Do not run away, because the moment that they get away from you, you lose your ulti, the demonic power goes, and voila, you're dead. And obviously chasing the Echo's going to always ultimate back, you know, to get away from you when you nearly kill him. So I would say he should have stayed on the Ornn. The Ornn's never going to kill him in the 1v1. It's just not going to happen at this stage of the game. Echo's the threat, but you can stay on the Ornn. You can basically kill the Ornn in your ultimate, and then Echo really wouldn't know what to do. Because if Echo goes near you, well, then you're killing Echo as well, but you're going to be killing Ornn in the process, also maintaining your demonic form, because the Ornn cannot get away from you. So that's what I would say as a slight, like, that could be an improvement. And here's the thing. Echo's going for it again. Please stay on top of them this time. So again, he's going defensive. He's just running away. So I don't know why the Echo's got the mentality of camp the Swain. If played correctly, I don't think you could kill Swain right now, to be honest. But in that process, just ran away, just out of it. Which, by the way, is fine. Just surviving a situation is never a negative. But that is another one of those, like, maybe newer to the champion or newer to the rework. If I in this, you know, retrospect, watching this game, I would have just stuck on that Ornn again. I literally would just be like, I'm just staying on top of you. What are you going to do? That's what I personally would give it. I'd give that a go. And we'll see if, you know, something happens this game. Obviously, I do know roughly what KD our Blindy Boom finishes on. We've got another about 15, believe it or not, minutes of this game left. So a lot does happen. And it should get pretty spicy. So 190 farm worth mentioning. Pretty good farm. Still maintaining above the Ornn. Meanwhile, I take a drink because talking non-stop is quite hard. No W by Samira. All right, so enemy team looking a little bit desperate. Nearly bursts out the enemy team. Swain coming on the side. Misses the E, unfortunately, on the Ezreal. But that will be the end of that. Graves, obviously, a very big threat champion. Pretty much been a staple, actually, for quite a long time. The thing with Graves, mechanically, he's not hard to play, but he's actually quite hard to pull off. It's very easy to be useless on Graves. You know, you've got no CC as a champion. You're kind of an AD carry in the jungle, which, you know, that's what he's designed to be. But, like, it is actually quite easy, just like, my ganks didn't work because I didn't have CC. Ah, cool. I'm not very strong. And that, I will say, is part of the reason that good Graves, they don't focus on ganking much. They actually do focus on power farming. Teleport happening. Didn't want to be away from the fight too long. Into the Echo. Would like to be... I understand why he E'd that way, but they do get the kill. Big shutdown. Again, the Echo's playing way too risky, but that's what Echoes do all the time because they can normally get away with it with their ulti. But he's going to go down before the dragon, giving the third dragon to red team. Unfortunately, though, Janna does die in the process because if Janna didn't die there, that's the kind of situation. The Echoes just died. We've just killed dragon with 5 man up. You could consider trying to go Baron. And either you do the Baron, or because of the number advantage, we can bait the Baron. You know, start it for sure if they don't come kill it. But if they do come to stop us, take the fight because we know we have the number advantage. But obviously with Janna being dead, unfortunately, no Baron is being done. So the farm on the Graves, by the way, is absolutely mad. You know, how do they do it, by the way? You just witnessed it. The only way that a Graves can get that level of farm in 26 minutes is actively stealing lane farm. There is literally not enough jungle monsters when each camp counts as 4 and they all respawn in like a minute or whatever it is. The math doesn't add up of how you could do that with also maintaining a little bit of ganking. The only way of doing it properly is you do all your jungle farm basically on cooldown and also take some lane farm. So you'll see this Graves occasionally dip into top, dip into mid, dip into bot. Oh, my laner's not here. Oh, I'll take a wave. I'll take 1 wave. And they do it really subtly, but that's how they do it. But nobody really complains about it because at this level, the Graves actively shouldn't ruin your lane. You know, he should push it in a way that would make sense or freeze push it. Or freeze it, you know, not by pushing it fast. Huzzy does get it. So in theory, a Graves shouldn't really punish people for doing it, but that's what they do. Because yeah, 288 farm at 28 minutes basically is a very, you know, it's over 10 minutes, 10 farm a minute. That's really good. Obviously. Victor, unfortunately, dead again, has died 6 times this game, which again, 6 deaths, you can always like, oh, 6 deaths isn't too much. 6 deaths when you've only got 1 kill, that's a lot. Graves getting 1 kill. Ornn teleporting. Graves in definite trouble here, gets exhausted. Gonna go for a burst on the Zillion. Does go down. Will he get any kills? Very low health. Is the Swain about? Not yet. Maybe. Ezreal's mucked up. Does get Zillion ulted. He'll have E to escape, so they have to preempt that. Oh, he didn't actually have E to escape. Enemy team, this is actually quite a disaster for them now because they're all low. They've died at weird times. Then this is where I'd call Baron. The Graves is calling Baron. I would agree with that right now. That to me is the right call because again, you've got Swain over here without using his ulti. You also have Victor not used his ulti randomly. Even Graves, again, if all of this is correct, which I think it is because it shows Janna ulti on cooldown, you have your ultis up. You also have number advantage. It's a completely free Baron. And by the way, look how quick that, by the way, died. And that's because you have a very fed Graves and a very strong Samira. It will just get melted. And that is, by the way, another thing that is changing in patch 12.10 that I think is actually flown under the radar is Baron is going to be tougher. Baron's going to be dealing more damage and I think has got more resistance itself. So the time of 20-minute Barons on spawn for basically any team, that might not be a thing anymore. Which I think is a good thing. You know, Baron is supposed to be the big bad boss of the Rift, and it's been really weak. Like, really weak. You know, people have been able to 2-man it. Hell, even there's been cases within the last year of people soloing Baron at 20 minutes. That should never happen. Like, ever. So, yeah. You know, it's like playing World of Warcraft and soloing a dungeon main boss in the patch that you're actually in, not previous content, current content, and you're soloing it. It's like, that's not right. Anyway, Swain pushing out top lane with Baron buff. This is where you can maximize your gold. This is what we call, like, again, the Baron gold swing of people sometimes don't realize of, like, why is there a Baron gold swing? It's not all about just the Baron kill. It's about, while you have Baron buff, how much can you get done? Can you get a tower in top lane or 2 towers in top lane, 1 tower in mid, 1 tower in bot? You just got 4 towers worth of gold for your whole team. Well, then suddenly that Baron has actually given your whole team thousands of gold. Oh, but then when you're going for that tower, the enemy team tries to stop you and you go for a fight and you ended up acing the enemy team. Well, again, then that Baron is actually more than just a tower. So this is the point. This is the Swain that I've been talking about the whole game. He will not die. He needs to stay on top of people, and people will just die around him. Yes, unfortunately, the Graves did die, but the Swain did good. Enemy team now has got 3 dead, 1 running away. We saw the Talon up in top lane for some reason. Like, he's just escaping to the hills. And now you have advantage. You've still got Baron. You've killed 2 towers in top lane. Enemy does get Dragon, but that's the Echo kind of like clawing at anything he can. But for doing that, you're going to lose an inhib. So this Baron now has actually given you so much gold and an inhibitor, which is then constant pressure on the map. Bases, quite cocky. Were they bait bases? They might have been. Echo is ulting. Samira going for it. Swain ulti again, gets a kill. Echo does go for the burst. Doesn't have it. Doesn't have the burst. He's also Zonyazing into the E. Lovely E there by Bindi Boom. And that will be that. Samira probably is going to go down. Yes, she is. And also Victor goes down by Ezreal ulti. Ooh, bad death. So a couple bad deaths here or there. But actually very good play there by Swain. That's what we like to see. And now, by the way, this is the ultimate. The 4-item combo of Swain. Really 5. You have the Leandri for the initial burn. You have then the Demonic for more burns. You have Zhonya's to survive just in case that they're bursting you a bit too hard. You have the Riley to stay on top of people. Your ultimate will proc Riley, so they all around you are getting slowed and you're staying on top of them and they're getting burnt by Demonic, the Leandri, and your ultimate's damage. And then you've got Merc Treads to not get CC'd as much. It's so strong, like, when you get to this stage of Swain. And I do believe in the upcoming patch, Swain might be one of the winners of the patch. People have said to me all the time, like, who do I think is going to be with the winners? Yes, there's some, like, big examples like Fiora or Vayne. The percentage true damage champions, they're going to be scary. But Swain, I think, could be a problem. So again, enemy team going for a burst. They don't get the one shot. 4-man bot lane. Zhonya's regen a bit more. Enemy team still not killed him. Still not killed him. Ulting away to survive. He's regenning. He's healing. Finally, he's dead. That took 4 enemy champions, 15, 20 seconds of pure damaging him to kill him. And he nearly killed, I believe, the Talon. He nearly killed the Echo. He had to ult away. And that's the thing. Unfortunately, at the time of doing that, his team wasn't in a position to do anything. Imagine if he was down here in bot lane and his team was already about here, 4-man here. By the time they would have killed Swain, they would have lost probably an inhibitor. Like, that's the thing that this Swain can do. And if, you know, you could argue if there's 4 people here and Swain is here, you also then couldn't commit 4 people to bot lane. Because if you do commit 4 people to bot lane, then you are 100% giving up this inhibitor. You wouldn't do that. So you may commit 3 people to here, then Swain wouldn't die. Enemy team, though, is dying. They got a pick, I believe, on the Victor again, who does seem to be having a bit of a positioning problem this game. Swain, though, respawned, teleporting to mid lane. Echo on the back foot. Can we get a good Swain W? Let's see. Always just waiting. Bam! Oh, gets the ulti into the Graves and dies. There we go. Fantastic. That was a bit of a weird play. Back in mid lane, pushing it up. Nearly approaching the 300 mark also is the Swain. Graves takes the cannon. Baron is spawning once again, by the way, in 20 seconds. We can see that in the bottom right, just there. And by the way, just to mention, these timers, they've actually become a replay default. There used to be a setting in the eye in the bottom left that you guys can't see. It used to be down here. They used to turn that on. it's no longer a time. It's no longer one of those turn-on features. It's on by default, which is cool. Anyway, Baron is now spawned, so red team has thought, why not? Let's do that. You've got a dead jungler on the enemy team, so that is a good call to make. Enemy team might go for it, but it's probably not a great idea. And that is going to be a nice free Baron. And voila. So far, what I'd say as summary for our Blindy Boom's game in you know, specifically, lane phase was fine. Farmed well. Again, farmed well for sure. Again, you could say it's a bit of an easy matchup. I don't think Ornn generally has much kill pressure, if any, at all. But that's a good thing. You know, that's not our Blindy Boom's fault at all. That's, you know, using a matchup well, farming up, getting to the point that he's at now. He's a nearly unstoppable AP mage drain tank. And, you know, is he completely unkillable? No, he can definitely die. Swain not happening. Trying to block the enemy team. So that's what I really like. He tries to ultimately block the enemy team from going forward. He did a good job of it, actually. So it's actually a 1-for-1 trade. Not worth. You know, the Talon mid lane got an enemy support. Big damage from Ezreal. Caught Graves a bit sleeping now, I think. And Graves is going to go down. Swain has had to go back because of health. Samira's looking for the ulti, you can tell. And Victor also very low. He should back off. Samira's going to go for it into the big ult. Doesn't get the kill, unfortunately. Very close. Doesn't get it. Oh. I love Echo. Zilean did a preemptive ultimate, by the way, just in case the one-shot happened. And unfortunately for red team, they just can't get this Dragon Soul. Every time the Dragon's coming up, nice, good E. Every time the Dragon's up, they all die. Oh, big flash. Go to the Dragon, go to the Dragon, go to the Dragon. Echo used flash already. Oh, sorry, smite. Oh, I don't think our Blindy Boom noticed that Echo already used his smite. Damn, that would have been really good. If you went into the Dragon Pit, it would have been amazing. Unfortunately, he went for the flash on the Zilean, but the Zilean also had flash to get away at the right time. A little bit of misplay happening from red team. You know, blue team, let's be honest, they are ahead in kills. They are now even on dragons officially, and they're only 1,500 gold behind. This game, even though the complete pressure of the game, the towers, the barons, has all been in red team's favor, they're making a lot of mistakes. You can't make too many mistakes. With modern day League of Legends, the amount of comeback mechanics there are, catch-up mechanics of bounties, objective bounties, you can't do it. You know, you're just kind of giving the enemy team a way back in. That's the thing. So, yeah, risky. What I think we just need to happen, in my opinion, potentially is a push top. You've got an open base here. You want that inhibitor back. I don't see a world in a pure 5v5 with the Swain in the way he is, the Graves in the way he is. Victor, although he's weak, he'll still do decent damage, and he's teamfight orientated. As Samira, for God's sake, the most teamfight AD carry in the game. If you group as 5 against a double assassin comp, there is nothing they can do. That's what's been happening, unfortunately, is that they've not been grouping as 5, or if they have been grouping 5, one person's getting caught before the fight. It hasn't been a pure, let's just team fight. Let's just go for it. That just hasn't happened. Like, look at right now. You have Victor was bot lane, he's coming mid. Samira's still top lane. You're just not working together, basically. Because now, look, Samira's top lane. I don't think she's going to be too scared of a Talon in a 1v1, if I'm completely honest. Ornn does get the kill. Echo, on the other hand, a bit more scary. Ornn is now out of position. Swain ulti coming down. Can you get the Echo? Yes, you can. Ezreal mispositioning there, and now Swain, he knows Zilean hasn't got flash. You can see the Zhonya's doing the work. He's going to finish off the Zilean, which I think is fine. His dots killed the Ezreal, and the only one left alive is Echo. So now Swain's going to go push mid. Graves is going to go push top. I think they both should be fine. I don't think Echo can technically deal with either of these champions. He might, it is Echo, but I think both of them should be fine. Graves obviously is the bigger one at risk because he's walking into the enemy base. That's more likely where Echo's going to be. Voila. But I think we should be fine. And again, I like the split pressure. Some people may say, like, oh, shouldn't have Swain gone to top lane to get the inhibitor? You can always argue that, but breaking open the enemy base in another area is also insanely valuable. Now you've got 2 points that you could always walk into, not just one. So I do actually think that's completely fine. I do. if they worked together, they might have been able to get the inhibitor. But that's the thing. They might have been able to get the inhibitor. The fact that Swain went mid is a guaranteed extra tower open. So I think that's fine. Swain going to go back. For the final item, by the way, I also very much agree with what the route that he's going. Spirit Visage. Spirit Visage is not, again, the biggest threat really on the enemy team at the moment is the Echo. It's going to limit the Echo because obviously this is the... oh no, it's... dude, let me... I was like, oh, has he not got it yet? But he's buying elixirs. Apparently the scoreboard is bugged. There we go. Again, if anything's majorly changed, sorry about that. Again, as we said earlier, it's a bit bugged. So Spirit Visage is an obviously magic resist, it's a magic resist item, but increases all healing and shielding effectiveness on you by 25%. So look, this is the Echo. He's getting engaged on. Enemy team, Echo, again, does escape. Swain is at half health. That was a burst from... Talon does get Zhonya's quite a lot of it, but that's the effectiveness of the build. That was Echo's burst, Talon's burst, and Zillion's there too, and you can't kill that Swain. Really good final item. A lot of people, Echo, I guess, looking for that little bit of desperation because it's Echo. Dude, he is getting kills where he probably shouldn't. He's going to probably go down. He does go down. Big shutdown from Swain, and that should be maybe the end of the game now, potentially. But no, I like the Spirit Visage. A lot of people might have gone more damage, final item damage. No. Again, you really need to embrace what Swain now is. And you have to especially embrace it more when patch 12.10 happens because burst is not going to be as much. He is a AP drain tank. We've said it about 10 times at least this game. That look at this. He is tanking a Nexus turret and it's doing nothing to him. Nothing. He can tank anything he wants as long as he stays in the pigeon form with this build. It makes you're doing dot percentage damage with those two items. You're then healing more with Spirit Visage eventually and being more tanky. Zhonya's is just in case you get a bit too bursted, and Riley is making sure people stay on you. You stick on them with the slows, and Mercs is you're not getting CC'd as much. This is the build. Really good. So overall, I'd say not bad from our Boondy Boom. Again, there is that debate to have about Phase Rush versus Conqueror. I might prefer Conqueror, but Phase Rush is still completely fine. And, you know, other than that, I'd say there were moments of, you know, sticking on the right person with the ulti might have been a little bit better here or there, or could be better a bit here or there. But other than that, again, really good farm, 320 farm. You know, you're 80 farm above your lane opponent. You contributed greatly to the game. Got a lot of strength eventually into the match. You know, 10, 5, 8 in a master level game is very good. So overall, it's completely fine for me. If you guys have anything else to add, again, constructive, feel free. Again, do remember this is a master level game on a US. But yeah, like it, comment, subscribe. Again, how do you get involved in this series? I still get comments whenever we do these videos. So if you're on the Twitch audience, I think it's 10. Is it 10? Might be 10. Yeah, 10. 10 gifted subs, I think it is, to get added to the list. If you're here on YouTube, being a YouTube member, we actually did our first post the other day for YouTube members only to leave their summoner name and their server, and they'll be added to the list. Not guaranteed on YouTube member. Basically, at a time, I'll say 2 of you are getting added. I'll add 2, and then in a month's time, I'll do another post for YouTube members, and 2 more people will get added, but eventually you'll be able to get in. Those are the ways to get in at the moment. But that is going to be it. If you guys did enjoy, throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning.